Hi, and welcome to A Punk with Toys. My name is Lawrence, and today in this classic review, we're going to be taking a look at the G.I. Joe, a real American hero, the Armadillo. But this was one of the other vehicles I never called by its code name, the Armadillo. I always just called it the mini tank. And yes, this is my original one. And I gotta say, this thing got played with an awful lot because it was small, easy to transport. You could always fit a figure in there real nicely, and you could even put two figures on the back. And again, those pegs are still in great shape. So anyway, we're going to be taking a look at this. And again, I think this was a great vehicle for what it was. Very small, very inexpensive. It's something that you could take to your aunt and uncle's, your grandparents' house, your cousin's house to play with them. And you had a tank all built in here, and you could stick the figure in there. So you never had to really worry about him, you know, falling out or anything. But we're going to take a look at this, go over the details, see the love that was put into it. And if you had one of these, I want to hear a little story about it, right? That's what this is all about, the nostalgia, what you remember. But let's get into this and take a look at this bad boy. But before we do, if you like this type of content, you're like, you know what, I absolutely love these classic reviews, please take a second, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you're notified every time I drop a classic review. Alright, here we are with our Armadillo or mini tank. And again, I said I'm not going to call it the Armadillo. I never did, but I've been calling it an Armadillo a lot during this. So my original one, so it's probably missing some stickers, although you can see there are stickers on the inside right there. Alright, so again, not much to this figure, and not much to this little vehicle. So we're going to just start off at the front here, and as you can see, it has a built-in winch right there. With a lot of detail. All right, so you can see kind of the rivets there that are kind of holding that on, and it does look like it has a big huge spool of cable there, so it can kind of go out. There we have some air vents for what I'm assuming is where the engine is, what looks like a little compartment, and again some mechanics over here. On this side here, I always love this because if you don't know what that is the fueling port. Okay, so that's where if you have an aircraft carrier or if you're at the Terradrome, you can plug this in. I can't think of other fuel systems that G.I. Joe had, but a lot of the vehicles, they had something like this. And when you look at it, it's just nice and round, and it always has these little rivets right there. I think just to hold that on a little bit better, but you can kind of look at the mechanics and see the rivets there. It looks good. It's flat right underneath where the turret is. And then when you look here, you can see just the design. All right. This thing does come off. I can't remember the last time I took this thing off. So I only took it off so we can look a little bit better here. So it has the quad guns, which is crazy when you think about it. But it is a way to just, you know, again, it's a mini tank. So you want to basically blast something out of the sky or trying to blast a hiss. Well, you're going to get 4 times the chance. Although I think you're going to run out of ammunition pretty quickly. So anyway, there you go. It does aim up. So it aims up actually pretty well, to be honest. It's crazy that back in the 80s they were able to make the turrets go up and down. And then right here, this is kind of where he's going to hide. He's going to look ahead or look over it if need be. But here he has his whole display. So when you look at it, you see a bunch of gauges right there. You can see the actual display there. So when he is aiming at something, he can take aim. Back here, again, just some rivets all through it with a little bit of extra plates. That thing just pops right on here. On the back here, it's got a stand for 2 different figures and has the pegs. But when you look at the detail, it's supposed to be like a grating there so they don't slip off. And of course, they give you the handle here, so they're able to hold on to it, kind of lean back or whatever, so they're not just taking full firepower at that. Now, these were never, ever thin enough that you could put a thumb around it. Matter of fact, my guess, if you tried, it was going to break that thumb. On the side, not much detail, but they did make sure it looked like it had a couple panels. And then right there, if you look, you can see it has some nice wheels. You can see all the lug nuts that are holding it on. And again, up at the top, I believe they're a little bit smaller, and then you have the same size wheel. On the bottom, the treads are made to look like treads. And again, there's nothing here on the bottom, but what you do have is just some wheels. So you're able to roll it nice and smooth. And to be honest, this thing actually rolls pretty smoothly. As for putting some figures in it, we'll drop here. We'll take our bazooka, since he already has his helmet. You're going to straighten out his legs, so if you don't have any figures, if you have a figure that has loose legs, you may want to go with someone else. And here we can see he just sits right down in it. Turret can move, but he does not. That's what the back pegs right here. Be very careful. Alright, last thing you want to do is have a peg break off in the back of the hole there. So, I will only put it on so far. To be honest, I would normally rather just break the peg, if that's what it came down to, over a peg in the back of the, or bottom of the foot. But just be careful. You can see how he's gonna hold, how it's gonna stick on, and then you just kind of have to imagine that he's holding it. So, all in all, there he is. That's exactly how it sits. And again, real fun vehicle. I know some people don't like it. I believe Matthew Madsen said we never need another one. That's his thinking, not so much mine. So anyway, there you go. That is the mini tank. See, called it a mini tank, not the Armadillo. All right, so there you go. That is the classic review of the Armadillo. I was gonna say AKA the mini tank, but technically it's the mini tank, AKA the Armadillo. I think mini tank just works perfectly fine. I'm never gonna call it the Armadillo. I actually think that's an awful, awful name. But anyway, tell me a story about this. Did you play with this in the mud? Maybe yours got stolen. Maybe it got broken. Maybe you traded for it. Maybe you traded yours away to get a vamp and you're like, hey, I won that trade. Because if you traded this for a vamp, you definitely won that trade. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much for watching. But you stayed this long. Take a second. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell notification so you're notified every time I drop a classic review. But I know you're saying, hey, dude, I've never seen you before. And you have this awesome classic review of the mini tank. What else can I see? Well, right up here is going to be another classic review. And down here will be a playlist of all the classic reviews that I've done. Take care.